the fall of Saigon, the Vietnam War, such a defining moment here in the United States, I think politically and on a number of different levels. How do you define it? I mean, how do you describe that era and what it means?
Well, that was a defining era, certainly for my generation. I was drafted when I was 19 years old in 1971. For that whole generation of younger people, we were basically in the streets protesting against a war. That anti-war protest escalated year after year. For the US government, it was a trying time because it represented basically the fracturing of an earlier post-World War II consensus. Certainly the United States, when it went to war in Vietnam, went sort of step by step. There wasn't a plan for an all-out invasion of Vietnam, which actually ultimately happened in 1964. And I think the US policymakers were guided by the notion that with this many bombers, this many missiles, this many bombs, certainly that they would win in Vietnam. Say between 1965 and 1968, Operation Rolling Thunder, the US dropped carpet bomb North and South Vietnam for 156 weeks. About 180,000 civilians, according to the Pentagon's own estimates, died in those 3 years. And it accomplished nothing from a military point of view. It hardened Vietnamese resistance. It didn't break the will of the Vietnamese to fight. So you could also see that the empire, the US empire, was never an announced empire, but it certainly functioned like one at the end of World War II, was brought down by a country that was smaller than the size of Texas. And the US dropped 7 million plus tons of bombs and missiles on Vietnam. That was 3 times more than were dropped by the United States during all of World War II, the biggest, bloodiest war we had ever experienced, and yet the US lost. So it was a big wake-up call that might doesn't always make right, and might doesn't even necessarily guarantee victory. So the political military equations that were driving the war, I think, were basically shattered.